Kitco Mining's special coverage of Gold Forum Americas is brought to you by Metalla Royalty.
A windfall for Gold Fields. This is Paul Harris for Kitco Mining at the 2024 Gold Forum Americas in Colorado Springs. Joining me today is Mike Fraser, CEO of Gold Fields, to tell me all about it. Mike, welcome back to Kitco.
Hi Paul, thank you very much for having me today.
Gold Fields has made one of the most high-profile M&A transactions recently through the acquisition of Windfall, or rather Osisko Mining, to get access to and control of Windfall. You bought 50% a year ago, and you recently consolidated 100% with a 55% premium paid. Why did the company buy Windfall in two tranches?
Well, look, I think firstly I'd say that Windfall and the acquisition of Osisko giving us 100% of that project is a truly exciting opportunity for the development of Gold Fields. The reason we did it in two phases was kind of quite simple, really. The first opportunity that we had 18 months ago was really only for 50% of the asset. But I think it actually played out really well because it gave us the opportunity. It's a new jurisdiction for Gold Fields. So it gave us the opportunity over the last 18 months to truly get to know the business a lot better, to get to know the people, to get to know the operating conditions within the Quebec province. And so when the opportunity came, when a Osisko board decided that they wanted to exit this project, for us to then consolidate 100%, it was really a logical next step for us. So I think the way it's played out has really been the best way possible for Gold Fields to enter into 100% of that asset.
Oh, congratulations there. Now, you paid 300 million Canadian for the first 50% and 2.16 billion Canadian for the second 50%, which at 7.4 million ounces of reserves, means you paid about $425 per ounce. A lot of people are saying this is ushering in a new age or a new phase of M&A transactions in the gold space. What's your view about that?
Yeah, look, I think it's quite interesting. And I mean, first I'll start with saying that M&A is only one leg of our strategy to grow and improve the quality of our portfolio. We've also got a very strong greenfields program. We also have a very strong brownfields program where we explore around our existing projects. But M&A on its own, and particularly where you do these bolt-on acquisitions, are really going to be opportunities to move forward. The gold sector is also highly fragmented, really, if you look at it compared to some of the other industries, and there definitely are opportunities for further consolidation, but I think they need to be done sensibly. And you know, we've certainly had a lot of commentary about the size of the premium paid, but it's quite a complex transaction when you really unpick it, because as you rightly say, the 300 million had a contingent payment which we then had to forego. We didn't have to pay it. We also acquired a whole lot of cash in the business that was already there. We also were relieved of our obligation to continue to fund the exploration program around Windfall, which we now take forward. And we acquired stakes in minority companies that were within the business. So when you really look at it on a consolidated 100% basis, we probably paid less than 2 billion Canadian for the 100% of the business. And we still think that's a very good acquisition price for what we were buying. But again, M&A is got to be looked at really through the lens of the opportunity that you're facing. And you've got to be really disciplined to be able to ensure that you are going to create value through a transaction of that nature, because not all transactions create value.
Now, you said that buying it in two tranches enabled you to, let's say, feel your way into the jurisdiction, feel your way into North America. What is the company's North America strategy? Is this the first acquisition of several to come?
Look, I think the first thing that we'd say is that Windfall, and in particular the land package, is giving us a lot to chew on for a long period of time. I mean, our first priority is to really develop and bring Windfall into production, and then firstly understand the land package around us, and because that is very extensive, and to see what opportunities set there. But you're quite right. I mean, as part of our strategy, we don't have to grow ounces per se. That's not our strategy. Our strategy is to grow cash flow per share, and we do that by continually improving the quality of our portfolio. Where opportunities present themselves, we'll assess them. We run models on many companies all the time, like many of our competitors do. And when opportunities arise, we'll pursue them. But again, for the next 5 years, I think our priorities are really quite simple. It's about bringing Salares into sustainable ramp up, to building out Windfall. Yes, we're going to consider other opportunities, and we're going to build, deliver the joint venture with Idioprim and Tarkwa. So there's a lot for us to keep our hands busy with without thinking about anything else right now.
Okay. What will be the next steps and the timeline at Windfall?
Yeah, so the main thing that we're working with at the moment, so firstly I should say that we actually have a ready developed mine. So we're already doing the fourth bulk sample, and we're mining at over 600 meters underground at the moment. So we've got fully developed operation there, and we continue to invest in the mining infrastructure. For us to build the process plant, though, we do need final environmental approval. So that's work that's underway. We're engaging with the agency, and we expect to hopefully get approvals in the first half of next year. That'll enable us to do some of the early civil works and pre-commitments into the back end of 25, doing heavy lifting on construction in 26 ideally, and then we should see first gold production 27, ramping up to full production by 2028. So that's kind of our ideal horizon for Windfall.
Gold Fields is still very much perceived as an African gold company. AngloGold Ashanti, I think it's quite the same, although both companies have made concerted steps out of Africa, spreading the wings, establishing in North American bases. Is it an anachronism to talk of African gold companies?
Yeah, look, I think we'd like to think of ourselves as a global gold producer. I mean, 50% of our production comes out of Australia, 30% out of Ghana. We're now increasingly going to, and probably 12% out of South Africa. So if you look at our production today, it's probably only 40% or so out of Africa. And increasingly that's going to dilute as we grow Canada and Salares. We like Africa, and we grew up there. That's home for us. But we've got to go where the opportunities are. And I think for a company that really aspires to be a high quality, consistent producer, you've got to go where the quality assets sit. And that's where our opportunity in looking into Canada came from. If good opportunities come up in Africa, we'll continue to prosecute because we know how to operate there.
Okay. A moment ago you mentioned the Salares project, which is the Salares Norte's development in Chile. The first production is due imminently, I understand, but there was a bit of a wobble this year. What's the status of the project?
Yeah, and look, we can go into a number of reasons. I think Salares has been a little bit disappointing in the ability to ramp up during winter. It's been quite a trying time ramping up during the winter period. So we did have to delay the ramp up, which we now actually are well on the way to. So our current market guidance has us producing first gold under the revised ramp up schedule by the 30th of September, and we're well on track for that. That'll allow us to deliver around 40 to 50,000 ounces of gold this year from Salares, ramping up quite significantly into 25, and then 26 will be a steady state production. So for Salares, I think the ramp up with the process plant has been a little bit problematic, but certainly mining has been really good. We've had really consistent performance out of our mining contractor and partner, and we've got around 870,000 ounces of gold equivalent sitting in front of the process plant waiting to be processed. So that certainly isn't a constraint, and we think the lessons that we've learned over the past 12 months will certainly set ourselves up well for running that plant consistently into the future.
Now, every once in a while I see a news headline to do with chinchilla, which is a small rodent-like mammal. Are you still having issues with chinchilla at Salares Norte, or is that resolved?
No, and I think, just to put this in context, so firstly, chinchillas are endangered animals, so we are firmly of the view that we need to do everything possible to ensure the safe and humane relocation and treatment of these animals on our side. We were the first ones to identify them as part of our EIA. We also worked with the Environmental Agency on the protocols for the capture and relocation. And we're really at that cusp now of what do we do when we need to remove them. We never intended to do any work over winter, but we have used this time to really align with the agency around them, the relocation and capture program, and we're going to recommence that in the beginning of October as per our plan. So we don't see any risks on that at this point.
Okay. A number of gold companies, their share price is up 50 to 100% year to date. Gold Fields hasn't had that kind of performance. You're about flat year to date. What do you think has been overhanging on the stock? How do you see the company getting back up to the level of its peer group?
Yeah, Paul, I think there's two ways to look at it. I mean, first and foremost, there's no doubt. I mean, the delayed ramp up in Salares Norte, the revision of guidance for us has been quite hurtful, and I think it has certainly impacted on us, and some of our shareholders certainly have been impacted. The other part you've got to look at is over the past 5 years, Gold Fields has been a very strong outperformer on the index, as well as on the gold price. And in some respects, it may be also a bit of a relative repositioning of some of the peers in that portfolio. But there's no doubt, a strong contribution is the fact that we've been slow in ramping up Salares. I do think, though, and someone described this to me yesterday, being in a penalty box right now is not a bad thing, because the outlook can only be really good. Because if you look at what the catalysts are to outperform over the next 5 years, particularly with the growth in free cash from Salares and Windfall coming in, I think we've got an opportunity of really just kind of getting back to where we should be in terms of being a premium, high-performing and well-rated gold stock.
Well, bringing on new production as gold hits record prices can't be a bad thing. Mike Fraser, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, Paul. Thanks for your time.
And we have a lot more to come from the 2024 Gold Forum Americas, so hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more interviews. I'm Paul Harris, and this is Kitco Mining.
Kitco Mining's special coverage of Gold Forum Americas is brought to you by Metalla Royalty.